This is the Manzanar internment camp, or what's left of it, here on the Eastern Sierra on Highway 395. And I've driven by it for 20 some years and never took the opportunity to stop. My wife, two of her relatives that she knows of were interned. She thought maybe at Manzanar, but I don't know if it was Manzanar or somewhere more inland. In California, there was another camp up in Tulare. Usually they were placed in areas that were deemed safe and far enough away from strategic interests and so forth. And so they were placed out in these far, desolate reaches. I had a client who was interned here, and I was remodeling their kitchen. He would sit and read the paper all day. He was an older gentleman. One day, one of the subcontractors accidentally turned off the electricity. Came storming out of his room furious. Who turned off the electricity? Who turned that off? Don't ever do that again. His wife came in a few minutes later to apologize and told me that that behavior came about from his internment, because every night without notice they would shut off the lights. You'd be plunged into darkness. The simplicities of life being dictated to you by others can be extraordinarily upsetting. And I guess that's sort of the story of this desolate place here.
Did you have relatives who were interned?
My mother's aunt and her husband, they actually met at the internment camp.
Wow.
And then, but they weren't together. Like, they knew each other, and then they met years later, as far as I know.
Oh.
And then got married at some point.
And your grandmother wasn't interned?
No, she was not on the coast, so she wasn't a threat. Plus, she was short.
For shortness
Probably.
made her not a threat?
Well, yeah.
She's too
She
short to be
probably
a
couldn't
threat.
do anything. So she always had restaurants, worked in restaurants, and she had Japanese food. And so she said people would come in, and they would open the door, and they would say, "Is this Chink or Jap?" And then she would say, "It's Japanese food." And then they would close the door and leave. And she said after it happened, like, I don't know, enough times that she got smart and she figured she better say something else. And then next people came and they said, "Is this Chink or Jap?" And she said, "It's," what did she say? "It's
Chinese Ethiopian.
Chinese Ethiopian." And then they said, "Okay, great, we'll eat here." And they probably ate Japanese food. My grandmother said one of the problems they had was that they gave milk as like a food source. And a lot of Japanese people cannot digest milk. And so a lot of people got sick. But the people running the special housing didn't know. What did you think about it?
Well, it was a little bit, I was surprised at my internal reaction that I did not show you. I was surprised that I felt bit sad about it, or at least that's the emotion that came over me. I have an understanding of why it was done in the 1940s. I understand why the people were interned. Times were different, points of view were different, so I understand why they got, shipped off. It may not have been right, and certainly in some ways we have a better grasp on that today.